Hello, and welcome to another episode in Serva's newly launched speaker series entitled Mobilizing Diversity Client Conversations. I am Stephanie Captain, Director of Marketing and Affinity Services here at Serva. We're so excited that you've joined us today for the exciting discussion that we have lined up. Our goal for this series is to partner with our clients in an open and honest dialogue that will allow them to share best practices, personal experiences, as well as their unique perspective on how they are not only addressing, but also making an impact in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion as it relates to mobility. Just as each organization is unique, so is their people, as well as their culture. Many of us on the front lines of mobility and talent management are asking what we can do to help ensure that we are building equitable workplaces where people feel empowered to bring their true identity as well as their authentic selves to work each and every day. Most importantly, we are also exploring how we can help lead our organizations to change, adopt more inclusive practices, and ultimately become a better company for both our employees as well as our customers. We all have decisions that we're constantly making daily. We have goals, we have aspirations that we're trying to achieve. Creating an equitable environment that reflects the diverse communities that we serve around the globe is not only the right thing to do, it's also the smart thing to do. It is imperative that we build a powerful legacy for those who are being impacted today and also for the benefit of those who in the future will be able to navigate with less challenges and fewer barriers. With that, we are so honored to have Serva's own vivacious Vice President of Global Account Management, Susie Chapman. She will be leading our conversation with our esteemed special guest, who is a true change maker, Jordan Wright, the talent acquisition leader at Ardent Hills. With that, we are truly looking forward to hearing what she has to say, and I will pass it over to you, Susie.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everybody. Stephanie has shared, I am Susie Chapman. I'm a Vice President of Account Management here at Serva. I've been with Serva for 7 years, in the industry for 20, and am a new joiner to the diversity, equity, and inclusion arena. It is my tremendous honor to introduce all of you to my client, Jordan Wright, as Stephanie shared. Jordan is a client, but she's very quickly becoming a friend. She's a change maker, she's an ally, she's a warrior, she's amazing. So Jordan, with that, is there anything you'd like to say about yourself before we get going?
Gosh, I feel like I'm blushing. I truly appreciate the intro, and I agree with you. It is nice now, in the future, yesterday, to have the network of wonderful partners at Serva, the wonderful warrior women that I work with across the table, such as yourself, Carrie, Stephanie, everybody from the team so far has been amazing. So I don't really have much to add to that. I feel honored at the intro in and of itself.
Excellent, thank you. I have a couple of questions that I'd like to take you through, and I'll start with, if you can tell us the story. What's your personal story, your motivation, your drive to be a member of this battle?
Yeah, so I have very much personal motivation and a professional motivation. So I know we've had conversations in the past, and it's actually kind of brings a little bit of warmth to my heart today, because actually the person that really helped me to become passionate about this and personally invested just got to my house today, who I haven't seen in a long time. It's COVID pandemic, but he came for a visit, so it makes it special and really exciting to talk about. I'll share with you just kind of how I came to get myself involved from an inclusion standpoint. So I'll start off by talking about my role as the talent acquisition leader. Obviously, it's no surprise to myself, anybody else, that we know that the greater diversity we bring, both in terms of visual diversity, but diversity in thought is extremely important to the innovation that can come to a company, to the ability to serve your customer, how we show up each and every day. But I'll take that a step further and just share with you that, you know, in my job, I have worked for Ardent Mills since 2014. So I've got 6 years since right after we formed. And I've had the pleasure of visiting a lot of our operations facilities. So we have milling production facilities, as well as baking facilities and mix across the East to West Coast, Canada and Puerto Rico. And as I have visited each of those locations for various reasons, whether it was to talk about hiring and reducing biases in those processes, making sure we give every candidate a fair opportunity, I also secretly like to strap on my steel-toe boots and spend a day on the production floor and work hand in hand, whether that was on a down day in the mill where they're doing repairs, or it is working on the pack line, you name it. I've done a lot of the different jobs and really getting to see the hearts and minds of our team members. And then being a female going into these production facilities, I always ask to go into the bathroom, right? Where's the locker room? Where's the restroom? Where's the break room? And I started to really see that we hadn't maybe upkept them over the years of our facilities and how old they were, like many production facilities, and thinking about how that may be impactful from an inclusion standpoint. And then I had the honor of having an amazing human being in my life who has really helped shape me both as a employee and in my role and the opportunity I have to impact change, but also as a mother, quite frankly, my 3 kids. And that is my brother. And his name is Liam. Like I said, he just got to my house this afternoon. We haven't seen each other in a while, but Liam was born with a sex assigned gender at birth as a female. And for the last couple of years has transitioned. And I watched him kind of come out of college with his degree under his belt, begin his career in the military, and then transition out of that and really start looking for where he wanted to work and realizing the personal struggles that he had around, one, his ability to be himself, what companies were supportive of that, how
Right.
difficult it would be for him to identify as he knew who he was, not necessarily what it said on his birth certificate at the time. So realizing as I was also traveling a lot to our facilities that, yeah, do we have an environment that feels inclusive? And based on his experiences and what I saw, I knew there were gaps. And so had the opportunity to do some soul searching around what I could do and influence in my, privileged position that I've attained, and what can we do from a recruiting standpoint? What can we do from a mobility standpoint? And then also had the opportunity to pitch a project to invest several millions of dollars into our facilities to make them both better from every team member's standpoint, and then secondary to make them more inclusive. So that's really kind of where it started for me. And I think that everybody has to have that little spark on the inside. And it obviously helps a lot when it's personal to you, right? And make an impact to make it better for not only the people you love and care about, but everyone in the world.
Right. Jordan, every time I talk to you, I'm re-inspired. So thank you for that. So your personal drive, your mission, you've shared with us your why and some of the ways that you've used that passion to help internally within Ardent Mills. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey of Ardent Mills, right? It's a 6-year-old company. And so from the inception, from its formation to now, what that DE&I journey has looked like.
Yeah, that's what we definitely like to say. So 6 years young, startup organization,
Right.
Startup in the most unique sense. So we weren't small and then slowly grew. We're a joint venture company. So existing from our 3 parent companies, very large companies in the food and agricultural industry. So it was day one, 2,500 roughly employees, large footprint. We've got to stand up all, obviously, the organizational functions and capabilities based on the foundation of our own culture, values, and practices. So we've got to make sure that the lights are turned on, we're delivering to customers, employees are getting paid, and then we can evolve to understand who we are as an individual company. And so I would say early on, we started to begin to address the large gaps, like women in the workforce, embracing the broader allyship, right? Taking a look at truly the landscape and the uniqueness that the milling industry has in terms of where it's located, the challenges we face in more rural communities, and starting to kind of lay that foundation. So we always, from day one, had our vision and values and our commitment to not only our customers, but to each other as individuals. And then later on in 2018, just 2 years ago, we released what we call our promise. And that's really our commitment to make one another feel good, be there for each other, and drive a consistent culture together. So it's really focused on the pillars of us taking pride, the fact that we aspire, we want to grow, and that everyone's voice is heard and everyone matters. So obviously that sparked the evolution. And then I think coming into this conversation, it goes without saying that there's absolutely a focus as we continue on looking at, Black Lives Matter. We have some facilities that have been in extremely impactful areas like Kenosha, Wisconsin, and in Minnesota. And so it's brought awareness, I think, to the organization to ensure that not only do we talk about that promise, but we're living it daily in every single activity and all the expectations we've had. I think we also have a unique vantage point being one of the largest players in our specific sector, so milling industry and what we do. And we've partnered a lot, not only within the organizations that support operative millers or the baking industry, but also with our competitors, with our campus recruitment efforts to look at partnering with folks like minorities in agriculture and natural resource science. Right. Taking a look at our campus recruitment efforts for historically Black colleges and universities. We've partnered with Kansas State, which is, the only school in the United States producing milling science majors around project impact and the work that goes on there. So we've got a bunch of groups that are spreading. We've got some ERG networks that have started up, both supporting women in general, women in technology, Black excellence, and we actually have a small group that we are also working on setting up our charter for LGBTQ+ that I'm a part of. So just really trying to be really strategic in the sense of not only is this something the company needs to be moving the needle on, but we want to know from our team members around what they want from us, what's missing. And so setting up our systems to learn more about our people, both from a compliance, right? Federal contractor company, there's certain information you have to report on, but how can we enhance this data for the things that we don't have to report on, and how can we take a look at it, because we're not just doing it for reporting's sake. We actually want to know where our team members are so we can meet them there.
Right. Thank you for that. We are a mobility company, so I do want to ask if you can provide us with examples of how you've used mobility to enable the success of potential transferees through that represent diversity in your employee base.
Yeah, so I'll start off by saying one I'm particularly proud of because I think it's not maybe a common benefit or one that even a lot of professional women know about. And that was really focused in on my experiences traveling, being a mom with a newborn at home. And so we have a milk stork benefit. And so for folks that don't know what that benefit is if it's a lactating mother, when they're traveling for business, it's really easy, cost-effective, safe way to ship milk back to their child at home and make sure that they can keep that baby fed, and they're not having to also lose out on their supply because they don't have the right storage for it. So not only do we add that to any team members traveling, but we have a huge mobility program in terms of development and moving folks across our business from East to West Coast. And we were met with a mom who reached out and said, I've got a freezer full of breast milk and I'm moving and I have this new opportunity. How am I going to get it there? It was a 30-second conversation to say, Milk Stork has this program. It's in the relocation services. We're going to get it in our dock. We're going to counsel to it. Our RCs are going to support us if they hear this being a factor, and Ardent Hills is going to pay for it, because there's no way we should limit our women to, having to take care of that themselves, not considered a part of their move, and successfully allow them to grow their career while still having and growing their family.
Thank you.
Some of the other things we look at is eliminating the other family barriers to make mobility happen for career growth in a way that supports the team members. So I think you and I both know that a lot of companies, or maybe the older methodology of tap and ask you to move is really going by the wayside. So it's really trying to focus in our mobility strategy on the platform of it growing that individual for their career based on their choice versus the organizational push. So this links back to our promise, right? That employees have personal responsibility for their career development, but also we're here to understand where they're at, understand what they're looking for. We have the network, when folks want to maybe begin their family, or they are trying to get back to family in a situation like COVID today, or they have a geographical preference, or they'd like this career opportunity. We have a network that we can leverage. And then we've really made some cool adjustments, I think, to the overall program that don't require the individual to pick up, move, and stay there permanently. So we have kind of short duration assignments with some incentives behind it that allow them to still get that career growth and opportunity without necessarily having to make the commitment to move from one location to another. So just thinking about it a little bit differently on how we get those experiences. And then obviously the element of what can we do from a remote work standpoint, right? I think everybody, including Ardent Hills, has learned from this, and we'll our strategies.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. My last question for you is, considering your personal passion, some of the things that you've worked to implement at the plants themselves, the journey that Ardent Mills has taken, and what you can do through the lens of mobility. I know that you've also created some new processes and protocols within talent acquisition within your core function to help to assure diverse candidates are being brought into the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So to that, some of the things that I think that have been interesting in light of what's happening in the world, quite frankly, is rethinking about our interactions face to face. So one of the things that we've looked at and rolled out is kind of a standard operating practice as it relates to interviews. So how do we leverage telephone and virtual? We know that some of that can come out through that hiring processes, through those interactions, through individuals that just maybe don't know that they're making decisions but based on certain factors, but it does happen based on their life experience. That's a perfectly human thing to occur. And so how do we try to eliminate some of that to ensure that not only are our recruiting pools diverse, but our interview processes are made to be more objective. We're giving our managers the tools, the resources, and then just sometimes having those more difficult conversations to raise awareness, to openly talk about it so that we can all get better. I think that's the key component, is being able to have those conversations. It can be more programmatic things like working with managers on blind batch resume submission. So we strip out all the personal identifiers in the process to ensure a balanced candidate selection. We are hiring teams to assess who they are leveraging for the interview process. Does everyone look like me? Or do we have diverse backgrounds? Do we have folks that can relate to the candidates, whether that's in campus, our hourly production, or our leadership roles? We also acknowledge, quite frankly, I think there can be hesitation, at least in my experience talking with others around, oh, the business needs to drive this. And I think that as leaders, whether it's in mobility or talent acquisition, or if you have the pleasure like me of leading both, you don't have to wait on the business to make a change, right? So for example, the recruiting organization developed a strategy tying to the veteran affairs organizations because we have an opportunity to create a larger candidate pool, and we know that there can be good diversity in that, right? We can take a look at how do we bring talent into these rural communities that maybe aren't well known for diversity or don't innately have a diverse candidate pool, and how do we come up with unique solutions to both attract folks to those locations, get insight to the local community and what we can help drive from a community standpoint. How can we essentially widen it and flood that pool?
Right.
Partnering with Refugee Network, Second Chance Program, looking at folks that have convictions on their record. How do we, again, take a look at Veterans Program, our broader talent network partnership? I think that no matter what area you're in, there's things that you can look at within your own programs. And then I just encourage folks, have these conversations, right? If you don't have a diverse team supporting these efforts, then how do you reach out to your employee network to understand where they're at, what are the challenges, and don't be afraid to try a solution. Not everyone's going to work or benefit you, but I think so much of that is just making that first move, having those first initial conversations, and
Right.
letting that change continue to grow over time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jordan. We called you a change maker and I called you a warrior as we opened this session, and it's because you're a change maker and you're a warrior. And I'm so proud to have been able to partner with you on your program, certainly, and to have gotten to know you because of global mobility and relocation. But more personally, I'm just so honored that you're in our world and that you're working to help us, to help everybody be better and have those conversations and, truly work towards the better outcome. So thank you so very much for sharing that with me.
Absolutely. It's what brings me to work every single day. And I want everyone to find that same spark and passion, no matter what job they're in. You got to find the things that you love that drive you, and you're not going to like every bit, but certainly things like this make you feel good.
Right.
So I appreciate the time and the relationship and these conversations, quite frankly, because they're invigorating. I told you earlier that I was super excited for today. It's for me to be able to talk about this right now. And like I said, the timing couldn't be more perfect with my brother flying in today, and I got to and hopefully get to share this recorded webinar with him.
Absolutely.
Hear those words.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks again, Jordan. And thank you to the entire Ardent Mills team for being a part of this discussion. Serva is committed to our clients, and we're so appreciative for the opportunity to take this walk together. We've heard from the experts that in many ways, diversity, equity, and inclusion can be thought of as a journey. So what works for one organization may not work in practice for others, but no matter where your or personal organization is on that journey, we're encouraging everyone to continue pushing and moving forward with those efforts. We hope that everyone has enjoyed their time with us today, and we look forward to seeing you on our next segment. Thank you.